Welcome. It does feel a little bit too early to be this excited, but it's fine. It'll be fine. Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Shawn is not here this weekend, so we should all, I feel like, send him a little message. Emily's here. In fact, Em, come here. Let's record this from the stage for Shawn. And I think we all need to say, what could possibly go wrong? Yeah, just film. We'll film that way. Okay, so let's have a test run, because we don't want to send him a video where we don't know what we're doing, do we? So after 3, we're just going to say, what could possibly go wrong? Okay, 1, 2, 3. What could possibly go wrong? We think that's right. Okay, the real now. So all the enthusiasm. Okay. Yeah, a bit louder, so it's not just me that you can hear. Okay. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3. What could possibly go wrong? Amazing. So yeah, sorry, Shawn is not here. I know already we've had some disappointment at the stand. If you want to come see our stuff, we've got some things, we've got some videos, we're collecting kids' ideas. Follow the line for the dirt. So just imagine you want to buy a jar of dirt from Colin. At the end of that queue, that's where our stand is as well. We have on there our newest invention. Hasn't even made it onto the internet yet. So we brought along, it was finished yesterday, 10-year-old Isabella's bubble wand. And I'm going to be really honest with you. So when I turned up yesterday to set the stand up, it didn't work. So we tried to get this finished to bring it along, and I turned up, and I had to choose yesterday, day before, Friday, whether I was going to paint it or whether I was going to test it. And I opted to paint it, and then I turned up, and it didn't work. And you know that on Kids Invent Stuff, lots of things go wrong, and we like to celebrate failure. I did not want to celebrate failure at that point. I wanted the thing to work. But we did manage to get it working, because I'd made a very rookie mistake. So obviously, Isabella's bubble wand is very big, and to fire bubbles, you need airflow. And I got very worried about the battery getting wet, and so I hadn't put any airflow in. And so I thought, we're going to solve this by just drilling loads of holes in the side of it. Now, you would have thought an event like this, there would be drill bits. I had a drill, no drill bits. No one else had drill bits at all. So about 5 o'clock, we're running around asking people for drill bits. They don't have them. We did finally find them, and I did manage to drill holes in the invention. I wasn't actually sure if the holes would work, so I was just, crying to myself, drilling into this thing that's taken all week to work. But it did work, so it's fine. So come along, and we're going to be testing Isabella's invention. Now, she was very clear that it needs to be tested while dressed as a fairy. So we have a tutu, and we have light-up wings, and you're very welcome to come and try it at certain points in the day. I'd come early, because I think the NEC are going to shut us down, because there's a lot of wet floor action, but it's fine. The other thing that's on our stand is the very lovely Sophie, who has come all the way from Sheffield, from Hillsborough Independent Bookshop, and she has got my book. Not just my book, because we thought we can't just make you all buy my book. She has bought a selection of very good books. I'd recommend them. That if you don't have any kids, know any kids, if you are a kid, you're going to want to come check them out. There's some amazing, we've got My Crazy Invention Sketchbook, we've got Stuff by Maddie Moe, we've got How to Build a Race Car by Fran Scott, so come on, check them out. We also have a very limited edition set of these, mainly because it's gone to reprint and there aren't that many copies. So once they're gone, they are gone. But yeah, come along, support Sophie, she's awesome. Anyway, I've finished plugging, let's talk about Kids Invent Stuff. Who here has seen the channel before? Yeah, front row, we love it, yeah. Who has no idea, but you got shouted at, so you're now sat here? Yeah, great, fantastic. Welcome, welcome. Kids Invent Stuff is a YouTube channel where we bring to life 4 to 11-year-olds' invention ideas. They submit them as pictures or video, and me and my friend Shawn bring them to life. So we've built popcorn-firing doorbells. We've built 7-foot dinosaurs that mop the floor. In fact, Lexi and Kelsey, who designed the 7-foot dinosaur, are here today. So we'll find them later. And we actually this year are going to bring to life our 100th kids invention idea. So we have been doing this long enough to have almost built 100 kids invention ideas, which is very exciting. So Kids Invent Stuff, lots of people are like, why did you start Kids Invent Stuff? And the reason that we started was because when I was the kind of your age, I didn't really know about making or inventing, but actually, you lot are the best inventors. Children grow up and they have this real creativity. I mean, lots of adults here also have that creativity. We've not let it be stamped out of us, but it's really important. And when I was growing up, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Sorry if anyone is a lawyer. It's a bit boring. But I thought I wanted to be a lawyer because I didn't know I could be an engineer. And so that's why we started the channel. It's because we want to show people that their ideas are really important and how fun and exciting it is, and that actually when we make things, it doesn't always go to plan. You forget to drill the holes in the side of the bubble wand. But actually, it's part of that is that journey and enjoying it. So, one thing, if you can come to our stand and draw an invention idea, we will accept adults one this weekend. We won't be building them, but feel free to let your creative, juices go. But also, if you can tell people about the channel, that would be really great. I think I'm going to open to Q&A because there's lots of you here that kind of know about the channel. I was going to maybe talk, but let's do it through the media. Yeah, quick, run, get us a mic. We'll do through the medium of question and answer.
I'm back. I am.
Run.
Who has a question? Put your hand up. I'm expecting loads.
There we go.
Down here.
We've got one.
Did it take you to make the dinosaur?
Oh, that is a great question. So one of the things about the channel that I don't think many people realise is that I live in Sheffield and Shawn lives in Falmouth in Cornwall. And so when we're building, we get together for a very short amount of time. We build it all, we film it, we test it. So most things on the channel, including the dinosaur, was built in about 5 days, 5 very long days with not much sleep. And the dinosaur was particularly tricky. So the dinosaur is a giant 7-foot dinosaur that mops the floor. And it's made using bits of foam. And essentially it was like the world's biggest puzzle. So we got a lovely 3D model of it. We got it sliced up. And then Shawn and I put it back together again. And then we covered it in resin. And it's the resin that took ages. Because I don't know if you've used resin, but it's horrible stuff. And so you had to put it on. And then it had to dry, and we had to sand it down. But yeah, so most things on the channel are built in about 5 days. Even some of the really big things. It's a bit tricky. But yeah, good question. Oh, we got one down there. There we go. Straight up.
You got to come this way a little bit, because if I go in front of that. So if you stand up, bro, get over here.
Which one's your favourite?
Which one is my favourite? Ooh. Now, usually, Shawn and I usually just say it's the last thing we built because it's just the thing that we've been really into. But that's really tricky because every single invention has something about it that's like great. So we were talking earlier, the last thing we built on our channel is a nacho belt. So it's like spins and it has nachos and it has sauce. And when you press the button, the sauce dispenses, occasionally on the nachos, most of the time on the floor. And it just spins, and there's it's chaos. And so usually I'd be like, yeah, the nacho belt. But sometimes it's like ones that have gone horribly wrong, and then they've worked at the end. So a while back, we decided to build a giant Rube Goldberg machine, like a chain reaction machine, and we combined 60 kids' invention ideas. And that's the longest build we've ever done. So we hired a big warehouse in London, and there was a few extra people came to help. And across 10 days, we built this chain reaction machine. Now, I don't know if anyone's built a Rube Goldberg machine. Don't. You'll be having, therapy for the rest of your life. But essentially, you have to test every single stage. You have to be so precise. And for someone that is not a precise person, it's a lot of effort. So we had this rule where we would test every single stage 11 times. It had to run 11 times in a row perfectly before we moved on to the next thing. So we finally got this thing built, and we all had little sections we had to look after. And then we decided we wanted it all to run in one go, and we wanted to film it. So bless him, we had a poor camera guy with this camera literally attached to him, and he'd set it off, and me and Shawn would go, what do we actually say? We said this a lot of times. We've built the world's largest Rube Goldberg. Let's test it, or something like that. And we'd swing this ball, and I think Shawn set off a horn, and we did that 74 times. 73 times, at some point, something failed. And we had a limited amount of time to film this. So we built for 7 days and we were filming for 3. And it only worked 45 minutes before we had to start on the takedown. So if you watch that video, so there's a bit as well, so just to make it even more complicated, we'd set it off, and then when it got to a certain point, Shawn and I would run, and we'd put on these ridiculous onesies, and then we'd have to run to the end so it could fire slime at us. And we only would ever let it, like when it got to a certain point, we'd stop, and we'd be like, right, it's there, run, run. And the last time it did, it actually worked. We were like so in shock that it actually did that. We were just like, we were just like in awe of it, and we were like, we're supposed to be there. And then we managed to get there. But I was very worried that it would work and we would ruin it. But yeah, there was a lot of, I would say it wasn't my favorite, but I think that was the most excitement I have felt. I don't want to say ever, because my little boy is somewhere around. And, you know, your child brings a lot of excitement. But it was a good moment. So yeah, I'd say that probably is kind of a favorite in a way. There we go. Oh, ooh, ooh.
I'm going this way. I'm in control.
What do you do with all your old machines?
That is a great question. What do we do with all the machines? So, we're just going to have a moment of silence for the inventions that don't make it. What we build, of course, are working prototypes. And so when we test them, particularly things that go in salt water is very corrosive. So we've built like a magic carpet that you can sit on. We did some shoes, you can walk on water, all of which we tested in salt water, and they didn't make it. So what we do in that case is we salvage all the bits off it, and we might use it for something else. There are things that survive testing, yay, and are very big. And sometimes they go on display in places. So we currently have our carrot car is on display at Gulliver's in Rotherham. Raspberry Pi have our giant unicorn that you can ride, that when you lift its tail, it poops jelly beans. So some things are on display, and then they look after them. We have a container where some things live. So we have our giant furry electric dog car. It's currently in that container, and a few other bits and pieces. Some things live in my workshop. So I've bought the periscope hat that sits on a shelf in my workshop. I've got like the tea train and the foam firing camera. I've got bits of the karaoke mic. Keep, save, display. They're the main things. So some things don't make it. Some things we keep in a container. Some things are on display. Sometimes we repurpose. So if you make 100 things, anyone, I mean, we're at Maker Central. Anyone a maker? Everyone put your hands up. Yeah. Storage is always an issue. So occasionally we do try and repurpose things. So if anyone's watched closely, you'll notice that there is a lot of similarity between the toilet cleaning robot and the farting robot. So sometimes things get a little upgrade because they're looking a bit dull and they need a bit more shine or another feature. So yeah, good question. Would you like, we could start, you could all put your names on a list and I could start giving you inventions. Actually, no, let's scratch that. My insurance won't allow that. Oh, what's that?
Hey, what? Me.
Oh, it only works at the
Only
front.
works at
Only
certain
works at the
distance.
front.
Come. Now.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever built?
What is the weirdest thing we've ever built? I mean, I'm trying to think of something that isn't weird. So there's a few things that maybe get us weird looks. So the dinosaur, for example, is really quite tricky to transport. Often we build these things and we forget about the scale of them or how we're going to get them anywhere else. And so when we were testing that, we actually tested it at a local school, the only school that we could get to from my house because we had to drive it there. So a Friday afternoon, we through my little village with a 7-foot dinosaur behind us. That was a bit weird. We also, around that time, we'd built the giant furry electric dog car, and we had that sat on my drive for a while. And then COVID hit, and so I'd moved somewhere, didn't know anyone, giant furry electric dog car on the drive, and COVID hit, and then we had one of those weird parties, you know, where people sat on the edge of their streets and stuff, and everyone was like, "Hi, nice to meet you." Yeah, and they were like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Why?" And they were like, "You had that like furry car thing on your drive, right?" And I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Why?" So yeah, there are a few things like that. The weirdest looks we tend to get is when we're buying components, because I don't know about you, but have anyone ever bought 52 toilet plungers or 70 tins of custard? Me and Shawn at the start used to have a joint notes list where whenever we bought something random, we'd write it on the thing, but most builds involve something highly ridiculous. Like when we built the jam rocket, we literally, Asda had to get more jam because we went in and we were just like, we'll take it all. So yeah, sometimes, although I think the funnest thing is when we test them in public and people aren't expecting it. So there was two ones that were particularly interesting. The first one was quite near the beginning of the channel. We built a gravity racer. So we entered a local gravity race, like a soapbox Red Bull, but it wasn't soapbox. It's like a little independent one. And you just send and say, I want to, race. They don't ask you any questions. So when we turned up with a gravity racer that was made of 140 kilograms of vegan cake, shaped like a cake, iced with candles, there was a lot of very interesting looks, particularly as like people had spent the whole year crafting these absolutely beautiful gravity racers, and we had definitely spent more budget on cake than we did breaks. So that was a weird one. I mean, they all loved it. They got into the spirit of it, and we did feed their chickens for a very long time. But yeah, that was a weird one. The other one was, anyone seen the tower where we shot a crossbow zip wire thing? Yeah. So, is this being recorded?
Yes, but if you're really worried about it,
No,
we can
it's
say
fine.
no.
It's okay. So it is illegal to fire crossbows. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. So we found a very lovely remote place and fired the crossbow. And we were setting it up. It takes quite a long time to check the safety of everything. And we are one of the channels that likes to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. And so we were like, where can we film? We have been chucked out of places before. So we thought, we'll go somewhere. And there is a lovely tower in Buxton, highly recommend it. It's owned by the community. So Shawn went and bought a bike one day and said to the guy in the bike shop, do you live around here? And he's like, yeah. He's like, do you know about the tower? Yeah. Do you think we could film there? And the guy's like, yeah. And she was like, tick, person from community gave permission. So we rocked up and we were setting it all up, but obviously it's open to the public, and apparently it's very popular for school trips, which we didn't know at the time. So 30 small children came up to this tower and were looking at everything, and one of them said to the teacher, we were like, hi, we're filming an educational YouTube video, and she's like, oh, cool. I gave her the flyer, yeah, kids invent stuff, yeah. She didn't ask about any of it, and then one of the kids was like, miss, that looks like a zip wire. And she was like, don't be silly, of course it's not a zip wire. And I was like, just wait till you watch the channel and you see me dressed as a princess, putting my life in my own hands and jumping off this tower. Poor teacher. So yeah, I don't even know what the question was there, but yeah, they're the weirdest things. They're kind of, people's reactions and the questions they ask when we buy components, and the fact that Google has no idea what ads to serve us anymore. If you really want to confuse, get your cookies all mixed up, order some build materials.
Is there anything you thought would be easy to make but turned out being rather difficult?
Oh, is there anything we thought would be easy to make and then turned out to be really difficult? Everything. Everything. You think, oh, it'd be great. All we'll just solder these bits together, cut up this wood, great. No. There was one particular one that was really difficult that we thought would not be as difficult. So we built jackets. So one time, Shawn and I went shopping and we bought each other the most horrific jackets. So Shawn bought me this like bright orange, fluffy monstrosity. And I got Shawn this like silver thing, like jacket. And we were like, right, we're each going to choose inventions and we'll build them into the jacket. So I'm a big fan of Lego. I have Lego on the ceiling of my workshop. So I was like, I'm going to make Shawn, we got sent in this incredible Lego jacket. And I saw the invention. I was like, yes, we're making a Lego jacket. And Shawn had gone along and he'd found this disco jacket. And so he's like, yeah, that's what I'm going to make for Ruth. And so Shawn had this idea that he was going to use conductive thread and sew all the LEDs in. So he spent hours, like literally, it was about 3 in the morning, and he was like, right, I've done it, I'm going to test it, and it didn't work. Essentially, it was too fluffy. And Shawn was like, but we need to test this tomorrow, what do I do with it? And so he had to then undo all of his work and take a soldering iron and burn holes in the jacket and just wire in all the LEDs. So I now have a very lovely disco jacket that would not get through airport security because it looks like a bomb. But that was something he set off and he was like, it'll be great, it'll be fine, it'll work, and it didn't. But I would say most builds, we try and show them on camera, but at different stages, there is always something, like my not enough airflow, that doesn't work. Because if you're making things, it's just part of the making process, isn't it? Things go wrong. So yeah.
Do we have any? Oh, right here.
What? You got to come here though, because it goes off crazy in front of that.
Oh no.
So you have to go here.
What was your first ever build?
Ooh, what was our first ever build? Okay. So to explain this, when Shawn and I started Kids Invent Stuff, none of us had really any like YouTube experience. None of us had ever like made things like that. And we were trying to convince people. So Kids Invent Stuff happens because we have amazing Patreons and we have amazing brands and like educational companies that give us money essentially. And that's why we're able to do it, because making stuff's really expensive. Now to get to that position, I had to go and tell these people, these brands, these people that work within education, that we wanted to do this project and that we could do this project. And so Shawn and I decided to prove to people we could do it. We'd do like a pilot, so we'd do like a run of it and we'd work out. And so Shawn worked with a charity around dyslexia, so he went and asked them and I asked like friends and we got inventions sent in. So we did Kids Invent Stuff but without the YouTube bit. And we got sent in 7-year-old Lucy's custard firing superhero suit. And we were like, yes, we should build that. That's what the channel's about. It's a great idea. It's something that an adult would probably never make, but it's that whole thing of like, this is fun and exciting. So for a weekend, I just drove around to Cornwall. We filmed it all. We made it. And I had let Shawn be in charge of costumes. So Shawn was a ninja, and I was Custard Girl. So I had a very beautiful yellow leotard with a really nice splat blue logo on the front of it. And so we made all of that, and we went to a quarry. Again, maybe didn't ask permission. We went to a quarry with a load of custard, and Shawn ran around like a ninja, and I fired custard at him. And then we weren't sure if we were ever going to put it on the channel, but to make the channel happen, we obviously had to go to people and say, we can do this. Look, this is Lucy's custard firing superhero suit, which meant I had to stand in meetings with mainly pale male people while they watched me in a yellow latex suit fire custard at Shawn. And I had to be like, this is educational and you should give us lots of money to be able to do this. Many of those people said no. Weird, very bizarre. But it did make the channel. So we decided that that was our first build and that's where we started from. That video, you can see Shawn and I on there right at the beginning of the channel with Lucy's custard firing superhero suit. But yeah, whenever you watch that, just imagine, just don't watch it, just imagine having to play that into a room of people who maybe do not understand the content. Yeah.
Okay, do we have maybe one more? Is there any more? Otherwise, we will...
Oh,
no,
no.
nosies. Oh, there it is,
Like,
the last one.
Why is it always Shawn that makes you have all the stuff thrown at you? You always seem to be the one that gets messier. Why is that?
Me or Shawn gets messy?
No, you do. Or I think you always seem to get the brunt of it.
That's interesting because I get a lot of comments that I'm bullying Shawn, so I quite like this. This is recorded, right? Yeah, we do try and like even it out a bit. So we do try and think. Shawn did test the slime firing car, and I do feel like he definitely got some like points for that one because that was a lot of edible slime that got fired from a very powerful pump. If anyone needs a good pump, Evolution do a great one. And I think it was a lot. There is a picture. Come find me on the stand later. I'll show you the pictures. And I think that picture, every time we do something messy, gets put in the chat. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. You can fire at me. Because I think he got a lot of brownie points for that. But we do try. We are like, who was the last person? Like, you know, I obviously tried the nacho belt. But yeah, we you know, and there's certain things where people are really keen. And the other thing that gets us is some of you lot write who's testing it in it. So we can't get away from it. Sometimes we'll be like, we're building it, and it's very clearly labeled Ruth. So thank you for that. If we'd like a few more that are labeled Shawn. No, I'm joking, it's fine. But yeah.
Okay, so Ruth, if you want to tell everybody, because there's people who've turned up halfway through, exactly where to find you if they want to come and see you.
Follow the line for the dirt. So we're just next to Colin's stand. So yeah, anyone want to buy a jar of rocks? We're just by there. I think it's A24.
Don't look at me, I stand here all day.
In that far corner. Yeah, come along, come get a book before they sell out, and come test the invention with the lovely fairy wings. But yeah, thank you.
Everybody give Ruth a big round of applause.